Thank you, Dan. It does feel a little bit unorganized because of all the things it takes to get things started. But let's do that. I want to get started. So we're trying to pick up on where Laura, Kate, and Cody left off last week and reinforce some main points. And the first one is just that anger is a real thing for all of us. And I think I mentioned this a little bit last week. But early in our marriage, probably first 5 or 6 years, I didn't think that I had an anger problem at all. I didn't think it was an issue. It was like an aspect of my life that didn't exist. It's like it's just not there. So a complete, I think you would say, ignorance of something being present that I wasn't aware of. And the first step in my awareness of that was that when Carla and I we'd been married 5 years, and we did premarital counseling with the pastor that I was interning under. It was his way of kind of showing me what he uses for premarital counseling, even though we'd been married. And so, but it was helpful to learn. But this incident came along. There was a thing about the closet that I was upset at home. I don't even remember the details. And Ron said to me, I don't remember exactly what he said, but something like, Graham, you have an anger problem. This is part of what's going on here is an anger problem. And I looked at him with a blank face of like, what world are you from? That doesn't, I might be a little bit frustrated, and without connecting the dots, the frustration was justified, and so it wasn't a problem. Can you picture that? And Carla can tell a little bit more of the story. I think I left the room to go to the bathroom or something, and he said, Carla, he's got an anger problem, right? So, fast forward 25 years, and God has been so incredibly gracious and to show me all sorts of stuff besides just that, and particularly the things that are underneath. But I say that for all of us, but some of us have more trouble than others of knowing ourselves and the things that are going on in our own hearts, in our own lives, in our own relationships. And so I'm just here to encourage you to have an open mind and an open heart, eager for the Holy Spirit to show you what He wants to show you as we look into this.
So, hi, I'm Carla. If I haven't met you, we're glad to have you here. I am aware that a few of you are asking, one reason I was not up here when we started, is that we can't find the extra study guides that are on your table. So if you're new and you don't have one, I'm really sorry about that. I will look for it as soon as we're done. We had enough, so they should be around. If not, you will have them next week. And we really apologize. I'm not sure what happened. I wasn't here last week, so I don't know where they are. But we will find them for you. Sorry if you don't have one. However, last week, yes?
There is a whole back right here with some of them.
Oh, and they're clean and new? They're not yours from your... Okay, well, anyway, we will get to you at your table as much as we can, a copy for anybody who wasn't here last week. And it will be useful to you, if you weren't here last week, to do some of those exercises in the second chapter, because we're going to use these categories of stuffer or leaker or spewer, which they talked about. You can find that presentation on Venture Marriage YouTube channel, or you can actually go listen to Chip Ingram if you have a copy of that. He's done all these presentations, so you can watch him online if you ever want.
Did you tell him? I was distracted. If you have a study guide, there's a code in the front that will give you direct access to your own copy of the videos for this presentation.
Not our videos, but Chip's videos. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. So today we're going to take a step back and we're going to just look a little bit at what anger is. I think it's really helpful to have some definitions about that. And some of us have a hard time knowing, maybe you've learned things over the years and it's hard to figure out exactly what's going on when I'm angry. If you were here last week, you know that Chip Ingram's definition that's in your book and that he likes is that anger is a charged but morally neutral emotional response of protective preservation. So he's saying a lot there. Maybe that's helpful to you. Maybe it's not. It's a hard one to remember for me. So I also want to give you Ron Pierce's definition, which is the pastor that Graham was talking about when we did that premarital counseling after we were married for a while. And he used to say, you know, anger is just a secondary emotion. I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that next week. But it tells you that something needs your attention. He used to say it's like a flag or a light on the dashboard, right? Your check engine light comes on. That could be a big deal. That could be a small deal. But it just says, pay attention. You should look under the hood, right? So first I want you to see that anger is an emotion. Obvious. That's obvious to most of us. And yet, I think we do get confused. Emotions are given to you by God to help you gain insight into your life. This is really true of all emotions. And generally, there's very little you can do about that first flag of emotional response. Because we have a lot of baggage about anger sometimes, this can be hard to see. So I want to look at a couple other emotions just to help you see this. And so the first one is fear. So fear just alerts me that I sense danger nearby, right? If I'm walking down a dark street at night and I hear something behind me, I can tell you my first response is going to be fear. I'm going to be anxious, right? And I can't really do anything about that. Research tells us we can't really change those emotional responses. It's like your body reacting to something you need to pay attention to. I can choose how I respond to it, right? I can run away. I can be like, there's nothing there, calm down. I can stand up and fight. It can look like cowardice or bravery or any kind of number of ways, but that first reaction is just information. That's what an emotion is. In a similar way, sadness lets me know I'm experiencing loss, right? My dog of 15 years, my beloved dog, dies. I'm going to feel sad. I can't change that. I can respond in different ways. I could cry about it. I could go seek comfort from somebody. I could go buy another dog. I could do all kinds of things. But if I tell myself, okay, I'm not going to be sad anymore, all I'm going to do is drive it underground. It's going to stay there. It's not going away. And it might come out 2 years later in some big way that you don't expect, right? In the same way, I want to convince you that anger is just a flag. It's an emotional response that you can't help. It tells you, I perceive an injustice has just been done. I perceive there's something wrong in the environment. It could be hiding something else, but it's just information that way. It's real. It's actually happening to you. So if you label it all as wrong from the very beginning, you're going to have a hard time interacting with it, like Graham said at the very, very beginning of our marriage. He would just not believe he was angry. Dallas Willard is a author that I am fond of, and one of his lines that I really like is that emotions make great servants, but terrible masters. Emotions make great servants, but terrible masters. They're given to you by God to help you make sense of the world, and you can let them take over, right? I can get furiously angry and yell and scream and then tell myself I couldn't help it. I was just so angry. I couldn't help it, right? In that situation, you've let anger be your master. It's taken over for a little while, right? And it never goes well. But on the other side, if I ignore it, I'm not angry. I'm not. Or I think, oh, it's just hopeless, right? Yes, I'm angry, but there's nothing I can do about it. You are refusing to use this good gift that God has given to you. It's trying to give you information. Some of you know that I was at a little convention last week, and one of the speakers was Gary Moon, who is also a counselor and professional. And one of the things he said that struck a few of us is he said, never have a persistent emotion without learning from it. Think of your emotions as messengers or as servants or as flags, right? If you learn to just ignore them or avoid them, if you hide from them, you're not getting the information you need to process your life well. But if you let them take over, it's also not going to be helpful to you. Are you open to hearing what God or maybe others, maybe your spouse, maybe a friend, maybe you're self-aware enough to take it to God and ask yourself, what's going on here? But am I open to seeing what's going on in my heart when I'm angry? Why am I angry? Am I willing to learn from it? I really thought that J.C. Park really set this up for me beautifully today. I had no idea who was going to do this. But in Mark 3, if you were in church, you know that he talked about that scene where Jesus is talking to the guy with the withered hand, and he's going to heal him on a Sabbath, right? And it says there in the text, Jesus is angry, and it also says the Pharisees are angry, right? It's showing what's going on in their hearts. Right? Jesus has compassion and is angry at the injustice that's being done, that these people won't allow good to happen for their rules, right? If the Pharisees were aware enough to ask, what's going on? Like, why am I so angry? Even if their initial thought is, well, I'm protecting the law, right? If they're willing to look underneath the hood, they might see that, oh, I've hardened my heart here, right? And I'm caring more about the rules than about this person. So, to sum that up, anger is an emotion. As such, the first flag of it is neither good nor bad. It's just part of your makeup as a human being. It's how you respond to it, how you react to it, how you interact with it, that can fall into the helpful or harmful category. God made you with those emotions, including anger. So when you feel it, the first thing to do is to notice it and to look under the hood to try to understand what's going on.
Good. So what I want to do to kind of follow on is if anger is real and it's present, it's active in all of our lives in some degree or another, I want to continue this idea and spend a few minutes encouraging us that when we're able to name our anger, that opens the pathway for hope and real meaningful change in our lives. And again, personal experience. This was just a few years ago. I think it was like a year and a half ago. Carla and I were having a significant discussion about how to handle interruptions in our efforts to spend quality time together. You can imagine. And we had rescheduled, I think it was on Tuesdays. We'd rescheduled a few times. Carla had asked, and then I'd asked, and then I'd asked and asked and asked. And so like these Tuesdays weren't happening, and Carla got understandably upset about it. And so we realized, okay, it was over Christmas. The kids were coming home. We thought, well, we'll go to the coffee shop to have a conversation, and so the kids can be at home. So we'll go to Phil's over on Bascom, and we're going back and forth. It was at least mildly tense, but both of us were working really hard at trying to understand each other and to express ourselves in a respectful way. And then Carla said something that my reaction to it was that I just blew up. I don't remember what happened inside, but we walked out, we got in the car, and I was just furious at something that she had said, because she triggered something really deep for me. And I've had a few other of those that were really significant, that caught my attention. It's like the warning sign, but this was like a blaring sign, big one, that something's going on here that I need to address. And eventually, we got home, we talked it through, we gained some understanding. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that was a significant step for me in recognizing something much deeper that Carla had touched on that hurt my feelings. It touched one of my most significant insecurities of acceptance, and it hurt. And my reaction was anger. But for the purposes of today, what is the eruption of anger opened the door for a path of transformation, a path of hope. It's like, oh, I can understand myself better. I can cry out to God for forgiveness, not just for the anger, but for the lack of being secure in God's acceptance of me, so that something Carla says doesn't trigger me the way that it can sometimes. So it was painful, it's hurtful, it was shameful, but that's the whole point of the gospel. That's what God is about, is He's here to redeem every part of our lives. And anger is just one of those things, signals, emotions that God uses for redemption. It's the most amazing thing in the world. And wherever you are in your journey of discovering where anger is in your life, in your relationships, wherever you are, my encouragement is to be hopeful and to not be afraid, to not cower, to not deny, but to be open that maybe God has a brand new depth of relationship with Him in store for me when I can deal with this in a productive way. And when that happens, these relationships are transformed, because now I know love better. And if I know love better, then I can love others better. So that's my encouragement to you, that naming your anger brings hope. And the next slide just has something really. The handout has some notes there. If I don't confess my junk and keep it hidden, it festers into a deadly cancer that will destroy everything. But if I can name it, God can forgive and cleanse and renew. And so it can be the pathway to really overcoming all sorts of things in our lives. And that's my encouragement to you guys.
So for Graham, identifying the fact that he was angry was really helpful for him. I just want to say also, that's not going to be everybody's experience. I think if you're kind of fall in the stuffer leaker category, you might be more familiar with that pushing it away, ignoring it way of dealing with anger. But maybe you're a person who you're angry, right? Maybe you've been angry a long time. Maybe it's kind of underground now. And so, or maybe you're an exploder, a spewer. So for those people, I just want to acknowledge that your path to freedom is probably going to be more in acknowledging the destructive side of your anger, which we'll talk about in the next few weeks, and the damage it's causing to others. And there are other ways that you will find freedom if that doesn't, but that has been Graham's experience as the ways he was dealing with anger. In case you still struggle to see any value in anger, I really wanted to share also quickly a diagram that I saw on a podcast called The 3%. And these are a couple of psychologists who talk through, they interview people, and one of them, his name is Blake Roberts, he brought up this diagram when he was talking to a guy about anger. And I thought it was so helpful to talk about that any emotion you talk about, we're talking about anger right now, but you could put any other emotion in here and you would have different impairment and gift sides. But that every emotion has an impairment and a gift, right? So if you deal with it poorly or unwisely, it can either result in rage, extended outward at somebody else, or maybe from hanging on to it for too long, or also it could be kind of depression if you turn it in on yourself and you hang on to it and you don't let go of it. Sometimes depression can be an anger issue as well. Probably not always, but sometimes. But I really appreciated the insight that anger also has a gift side. And that when it's handled with wisdom and curiosity, you can learn things from it. It can illuminate your passions or what you care the most about, right? If you are like, why am I so angry about this thing? I don't know. Why am I so angry about what he just said? Why am I so angry about this situation? It might be telling you something you're deeply invested in, something that your heart cares about. Good or bad? I can't say, but it can illuminate things for you. That's kind of the internal gift of anger, but there's also this external gift of advocacy, right? That you can take it outward into the world, and often anger can empower you to stand up for the weak. I think you see that in Jesus in Mark 3, to push through on a difficult conversation, maybe with a spouse or a friend or something that you might otherwise be inclined to be like, too hard. I'm not going to bother with that. To be brave in the face of danger. So I think this is what Jesus did when he cleared the temple courts, right? That anger, his heart for people to worship well and to be aligned with God, impelled him to action. And so if you struggle to believe that your anger is ever okay, this can be another helpful way to think of it. Is there a passion behind it? Is it showing something about your heart? Or is this an opportunity to advocate for somebody or something that matters?
Thank you, Carla. Two examples of the advocacy that just occurred to me while Carla was talking. The first one is that, have you ever been a part of an organization and there's something wrong about it that really gets you, that you think, man, somebody needs to, and then you fill in the blank? Have you ever had that experience? Right? That's the advocacy. Maybe you're the one to step in and do something about it. Maybe God is using your anger, your frustration with the system to actually do something about it. That's a general example. A specific example that I just thought about for Carla is it, and I think this is going to be a good illustration. Here we go. No, Carla has a tremendous passion for her experience of how the church has undervalued women in the last many, many centuries. There's a lot of passion in that with her. In anger. I mean, big time anger. In what she's doing. Now,
which is maybe not always healthy, but yes.
But what she's doing and what I've learned as I've observed and participated in some of these discussions is that it's the advocacy right there. So now she's involved in women's Bible studies. She's involved in empowering younger women to move into who God has created them to be in the church. And that's part of her passion for us participating together in doing venture marriage because of that right there. So I just offer those as illustrations of the positive value of anger that Carla's describing. Good. So there you go. You have some discussion questions on the back side, and I just want to encourage you to come back next week. Craig Holtgren, raise your hand, Craig. Craig is going to be with us next week yay! Craig is going to be talking about how anger, he's going to dive deeper into significance that anger is a secondary emotion, the tip of the iceberg. And then the following weeks, Lori, Kate, and Cody are coming back to help us explore what the kinds of things that are typically under the surface of the iceberg. So Craig is going to illustrate the significance of that, and then Lori, Kate are going to come back and spend a couple weeks helping us understand those kinds of deeper emotions that are involved. Okay, John. Yes, humility and work. I decided to not get into it. Humility and work. Yeah, if you go one more, maybe one back. It's humility and work. And I was going to give you more story about what I already told you, and I decided that we really didn't need more. Well, the humility and work is what we're going to be doing over the next 8 weeks. It's going to take humility and work for God to transform you the way He wants to transform you through your marriage and through your experience in relationship with anger. That's the point. So thank you, John. Nice tee up. Another question? So thank you. This is great. Naming your anger, what that I mean is acknowledging it, confessing it. And by confessing, I just mean there it is. That's anger. It's agreeing that this is something that's going on for me. Does that answer?
And again, I want to say that's Graham's experience, right? Because he was completely ignoring it for a few years. And so just identifying it allowed him to begin to interact with it. I don't think that's everyone's experience. And some people already know they're angry. So then, yes, why am I angry? What's happening? And what do I need to bring to God or learn from or change, right?
Does that answer your question? Anybody, anything else that I was super unclear about? Ruth. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
So if you couldn't hear that.
Search me, O God, and know my heart. Dan. Can you go to the diagram there?
It's just a way of thinking about the value that anger can bring to your life. So as a way to encourage you not to just ignore it.
Anything positive that can come out of your experience, relationship with anger. Yeah.
That's behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too. I keep wanting to say that it's important, even for a spewer who knows that he or she is angry, to name it, in the sense that for a person to I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not a spewer, even though I can't explode. I think that a spewer, a person who is always outwardly expressing anger, can get to the place of justifying so much so that it's not really self-perceived as a problem, that it's everybody else's problem. So you guys, you have a chance to just talk about that. You don't have to agree, but I do want you to talk about it. Athena. Yeah. Page 9. Yeah, thank you. The page 9 of the book. I think it. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with those terms, they will come back around again. A stuffer is somebody who just pushes it down. You've been taught all anger is wrong. You try to pretend it's not there, try to get rid of it, right? And so that causes you a lot of problems. You're not able to address things in your life. Maybe you don't bring your concerns to your spouse. Maybe you never push through, right? You can imagine those things. A leaker has also kind of pushed it down, but instead of keeping it all inside until they explode, they tend to be passive aggressive or leak it out in other ways. So they know they're angry probably more, but they're not able to address it directly. And so they tend to come at you other ways, pretending or not. Maybe they're not even, I don't even mean pretending. They're not aware. And so they end up saying things. They're really still angry about the conversation you had yesterday and the way you treated them. But instead of saying, hey, I feel really hurt by what you said yesterday, they've just kind of held it. And then, 4 days later, they're like, well, you're always so mean, right? It's like that passive aggressive thing. And then a spewer is like an exploder, right? Spewing like Lana, right? They're angry, and then they don't have any problem. Sure, they know they're angry, and they think they deserve it, right? It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not my fault, right? You shouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have been this way, right? That generally is kind of a spewer way to respond.
Yeah. Pages 14, 16, and 18 are the summaries of those three from the study guide.
We'll try to bring those around to anybody who doesn't have one. And if you don't get one today for some reason, we will have plenty here next week. So, okay?
So,
Yep.
Anything else? All right, that's it. Enjoy your time together.